Hi, this is Praveen. Now, let us discuss about the Aeolian landforms. First, Aeolian landforms are nothing but the landforms that are created by wind. So, if we consider wind as a denuding agent, the landforms that were created by the wind is called as Aeolian landforms. When we hear of the term Aeolian, it means the wind. So, these Aeolian landforms are simply nothing but the deserts. So, under the deserts, we have deserts as two types, as hot deserts and cold deserts based on the temperature. So we will ignore the cold deserts because in the cold deserts we experience the action of glacial ice, which we will understand under the glacial landforms, and in some other times we experience the permafrost, which we will understand under periglacial landforms. So let us start with the hot deserts. So these hot deserts also have some subtypes such as the rocky desert, the stony desert, the sandy desert, and then we have badlands, and the fifth one is the highland deserts. Highland deserts are the mountainous deserts. So this was the classification of the hot deserts. So these rocky deserts are also termed as hamada. So hamada is another term for these rocky deserts. These stony deserts are also called as reg. Sandy deserts are also called as erg. So coming to the rocky deserts, in the rocky deserts, as the name suggests, the deserts they contain more amount of rocks. For example, we have the Sahara desert, which is one of the best examples for the rocky deserts, and in the country Libya, we call this rocky deserts as Hamada, and in the Libya we experience the Hamada al Homra desert, which is an example for the rocky desert. Coming to the stony desert, these are made up of mainly the stones, gravels and the pebbles, and these stony deserts are termed as Serir in Libya and in Egypt as well. So coming to the sandy deserts as the name suggests, we have more amount of sand in these deserts, and in the sandy desert we experience the presence of the sand dunes, and the term erg itself means a sea of sand with the sand dunes. And in these sandy deserts, some examples in the world include Karakum and the Kaisulkum deserts in the Central Asia region of Asia. Again, these sandy deserts are termed as Kaun in the region of Turkmenistan. So this is about the sandy desert. Coming to the badlands, badland is nothing but it is a land which is having a harsh climatic conditions and a harsh living conditions which is not suitable for the humans to live. And some examples of these badlands in the world include in the South Dakota state of USA, we have a national park that is called as Badland National Park, which is an example for the badlands. And also in India, the Chambal River Valley is an example. So here the badlands, as the name suggests, it is bad for the humans to survive. Next is the highland deserts. So in the highland deserts, these deserts can be found either on the mountains or on the plateaus. So some examples of these kinds of highland deserts in the world include Ahagar and Tibesti in the Sahara desert. So Ahagar and Tibesti are some highland deserts that can be found in the Sahara desert. So they were subtypes. So if you consider this as the Africa, so in this part of Libya, we call it as Tibesti, and this part shared by Algeria and Libya is called as Ahagar. So both of them are the plateau regions. So this was about the highland deserts. So we have completed about the definition of hot deserts. These hot deserts is also sometimes considered as the trade wind deserts because most of the hot deserts can be found in the regions where we experience trade winds. So trade winds can be found between 0 to 30 degrees north and south latitudes, as we all know. And in between these latitudes, we have the trade winds. And when these trade winds blow, the sand and the winds are having a higher energy, so that we have the hot deserts with a higher temperature and lesser precipitation. So there is also another thing which is true desert. True deserts are nothing but the deserts that can be found between 15 to 30 degrees north and south latitudes, which are experiencing the higher and the intense hot temperatures during daytime and the intense cold temperatures during the night time, along with the less precipitation. So in these deserts there are two common factors. The first one is higher temperature and lesser precipitation. The second factor is the strong winds. So these are some characters that we can find in the deserts. So we have completed about an introduction to the deserts. Now there is a process which is called as onion peeling. This onion peeling is a process of weathering in deserts. So in the weathering, we have already seen about physical weathering, chemical weathering and the biological weathering, which can also take place in the deserts. So in the onion peeling, if we consider any rock that is having some successive layers, that means a rock is having many layers, and when there is an intense heat temperatures and during the daytime and the night time there is the shift in the temperatures, and when there is a change in the temperatures it is peeled just like an onion. So that process of removal of the layers of rocks is called as onion peeling, and the onion peeling is also termed as the exfoliation. Exfoliation is the another term that is given for the onion peeling. So this was about the onion peeling process. Now let us come to the wind, the erosion made by the wind. Under the erosion made by the wind, there are three processes that can be involved. First is deflation. The second is abrasion. And the third one was that of the attrition. Let's start with deflation. In the process of deflation, there will be some sand particles that are having a lighter weight in the deserts, and they can be easily carried by the wind, and these particles that are moving would be depositing at a place. It might be outside the desert or inside the desert, and there is a specific term that is given called as Lewis, which we will understand under the depositional landforms. So in this process, the loose sand particles are moving along with the wind, and this process is termed as deflation. Next, abrasion. So when the wind hits this region of rocks, the wind also carries some dust particles, and when the dust particles hit the rocks get broken into several parts, and they can be eroded away under the name of dust particles by the wind. So this is about process of abrasion. Next is attrition. So in the attrition, the wind has the tendency to carry a larger mass of rock, and when this large mass of rock hits another rock with a heavier mass, both of them collide and some weathered material is formed. And this weathered material that is formed is under the name of weathered particles, and they were created by the wind by the process of attrition. So these are the three important processes that are responsible for the erosion by the wind. Now let us come to the 7 important erosional landforms. So beginning with the erosional landforms, there are 7 main erosional landforms, and their names are the deflation basin, deflation basins, and then we have the mushroom rocks, which are also called as Fels-Felsen rocks. Then we have the Zeugen or the capped inkpot, the Yardengs, and then we have the mesas and the butties, and after that we have the Inselberg, and then we have the Drakenter. So these are the 7 erosional landforms. First, let's begin with the deflation basins. So deflation basins are formed after when the deflation process is done. So when the process of deflation happens, that means when the loose sand particles travel along with the wind, it leads to the formation of these deflation basins. So in the deflation basins, one of the best examples in the world is the Pyongyang deflation basin in the Gobi Desert of China. Next, coming to the mushroom rocks, it is an interesting topic. So, when the wind is moving, it carries some dust particles, and when these dust particles hits a large mass of rock, then they would be hitting until a height of around 2 to 3 feet. And when they hit, they would be taking away a part of this rock. So, after many years, then this rock would in turn turn like this. It would be turning like a thinner part at the bottom and a wider at the top. So here from 2 to 3 feet we would experience a great amount of strong winds. So due to that reason this part has eroded away. So this is looking like a mushroom and it is termed as mushroom rocks. Mushroom rocks are also called as the Fels-Felsen rocks. Fels-Felsen rocks. So, in these mushroom rocks, one of the best examples is the Gaur mushroom rock in the Sahara Desert. So, Sahara Desert is having a huge number of mushroom rocks. Now, let us come to the Zeugen, which is also called as capped ink pot. So, in the Zeugen, there are some rock masses in the deserts which lie in the alternate bands of hard and the soft rock, in some depressed parts of the deserts. So when there is a depressions that will be created in the deserts, they form the alternate bands of hard and the soft rocks, and these rocks that are formed is called as Zeugen, and they would be looking like a capped ink pot, because if you see these hard rocks are harder in nature, and when the wind erodes the softer rocks, a part of the soft rocks will be gone and it forms like this. It looks like an ink pot. So we call it as a capped ink pot. So these Zeugens are mainly found in the depressed parts of the deserts. Next is Yardangs. In the Yardangs, they were also having a vertical bands of hard and the soft rocks, but they would be lying in a vertical manner. So if you consider this as a rock, this is a hard rock, this is soft, this is hard, and this part is a soft. So like this we have the alternate vertical bands of hard and the soft rocks, and here these yardangs are parallel to each other. This is also an important point. Next is mesas and the beauties. So if you consider there is a highland desert that is there, and at the top the upraised region is called as a mesa, which means table in the Spanish language, and at the bottom we call it as beauties. So it is about mesas and the beauties. Next is Inselberg. Inselberg is a German word which means island mountains. For example, if there is a plateau or a highland region with a flat top and it is having a steeper slopes like this. So these kinds of plateaus in the deserts is called as an Inselberg, and one of the best examples is found in the West Australian desert, and the name of that Inselberg is the Ayers Rocks. Ayers Rock, which is larger in size. Next, coming to the decanters, in the regions of deserts, the winds would be blowing, and if we consider any rock that is there, and there is erosional process that is taking place. So if there is erosional processes, then some parts of the rocks will be getting sharpened at its edges, and when it is getting sharpened, it is considered as a sharp rock, and these sharp rocks are, if they were having around 3 sharp edges, they were called as decanter, and if they were having more than 3 sharp edges, they were termed as the ventifacts. Ventifacts or ventifacets. So this was another term that is given for more than 3 sharp edges. So we have completed about the erosional landforms. Now we will move on to the depositional landforms. Talking about the depositional landforms, there are 2 depositional landforms. The first one is sand dunes and the second one is loess. So let's start with the sand dunes. So sand dunes are nothing but they were like a dunes which are formed because of deposition of the dust and the loosely particles and the loose sand particles that are brought by the wind, and they deposit in two forms. And that means there are two types of sandy dunes. First one is called as birchens and the second one is called as a sieve. So in the birchens, these birchens are like birchens are simply like a crescent shaped sandy dunes. So these crescent shaped sand dunes are the birchens can be experienced in the Sahara Desert of Africa and in the Thar Desert of India as well. Next, coming to the sieve. Sieve is an Arabic word which means swirl. And these sieves are called as the longitudinal sand dunes. And these sieves can be experienced in the Western Australian desert of Australia and in some parts of Kalahari deserts and in many parts of the world. So this is about the sieve. We have completed about sand dunes. So coming to the Luis are nothing but when the loose particles that are brought by the wind they would deposit outside a region of a desert is termed as a Luis. And in the Luis, an interesting thing about Luis is these Luis have an area of more than 6,47,000 square kilometers, and we don't have any type of Luis which is below this value. And one of the best examples of the Luis is in northwestern China, and this portion is called as the Luis Plains. So the Luis Plains can be experienced in the northwestern parts of China. So this was about the depositional landforms. So we have completed about the Aeolian landforms. The PDF notes of this video is given in the description below. Please like this video and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you.